Hello, and welcome back to Writing with Witches, the podcast where a couple witches sit and talk about writing. And this time, cue evil cackle, we are talking about writing traumatic backstories for your characters, because that's the best.
Yep. Writing trauma and
Before we,
backstories is so much fun.
yes. Before we jump into that, I'm one of your hosts, Leona Urbanski. I'm an author with my debut novel came out in April, Fire Magic, book one of the Death Gate trilogy. And my second novel is coming out in September. That would be Fate Touched, book one of the Silver Eye series. Co-host is
I am Nicole Autumn. I am the author of the completed Secret Society series, and I have a standalone coming out sometime next year. Not entirely sure when, but
we'll get
sometime
there.
next year. I will just say for people, if you're not watching the podcast, I am sick. If you are watching it, it's pretty obvious considering how bright red my nose is from blowing my nose consistently. My youngest gremlin decided to bring home the plague on their last week of school. So I am currently trying to get over being sick yet again.
That's yes.
Per the
She
course.
has been pretty miserable this week, not gonna lie.
It's been so bad. It's just like one sickness steamrolling into another. It's so stupid. Ah,
Yeah.
children, they're wonderful. They bring home all the germs.
All the germs.
All of the germs. Um, so should we jump into book news?
Let's.
So for me, I am actually less than what I told you away from 50,000 words. It's now closer to like, I'm about 1,000 words away from hitting 50K on my rough draft of my next novel coming out, which would be, should I reveal the title name yet? Or should I wait?
Oh yeah. Well, have you revealed it on social media yet? I don't think you have. So I
No,
think
I
you should
haven't.
wait. I think you
I'll
should
wait.
wait.
To the Casper reimagining. Yeah. So my first draft is over halfway done at this point, and now we're getting to the fun, juicy stuff. The climax is coming. I'm excited.
Yeah, all kinds.
All kinds of climaxes, if you catch my drift. um. So yeah, I'm excited for that too. It's slowly wrapping up, and I'm excited for that. Book
I'm
news for
excited for
you.
you.
I know. it's this one's been fun to write. It took me a while because of the amount of research that had to go into it at first. It was a little overwhelming, but once I got past that, things are moving now, which is nice. Oh, and things are moving.
Things are moving. Things are moving.
Things
That's
are
for sure.
moving. But any book news for you?
Let me just run down my list here. I am halfway done with the branded rough draft. So I'm at like 58K on that one. And I've hit the halfway point on the outline. I am still working through Blood Magic to get that one ready for revision. I am still waiting on beta readers for Pay Touch, but I have started going in and making small changes so that it is still on track to be released in September, so you don't have to worry about that. And I am still recording Fire Magic. It is going slower than I liked due to summer activities taking more time than I want to admit, plus summer heat prompting an air conditioner in my room.
Yes. The summer
So,
heat has been
but
wild already.
yes. But yeah, otherwise, I mean, everything is going as relatively smoothly as like I'm not actually totally behind on anything yet, unless you count my self-imposed deadline for the audiobook of Fire Magic, which I was already mad at myself about that anyway, so nothing new there. Um But we are also making sure we are back on track with releasing the short stories.
Mm-hmm.
So we will have that anthology ready for you in November. And we are still on track for releasing the audio narrations of our short stories too. So keep
Yeah.
keep checking the Mythweaver's channel for that.
Yeah, because we've been releasing them one every month, and we have two out right now. And the next one that will come out will be Horse Race, which will be July 1st.
Mhm. Yep. My
I'm excited.
my birthday month.
Yep. So, should we jump into this week's episode?
Yes, let's see how traumatized we can make our characters.
Oh, they are poor things. Um, so first things first is backstories. Sometimes, I'll say for me personally, the backstory does not always come first. Sometimes the character comes first, and then I figure out the backstory. Um, but there should always be a point to their backstory. And this is going to determine a lot of different things about your character. And a lot of the times, it's going to be how they react to situations. Um, but again, don't just give them any backstory willy nilly and then it not affect them going forward. Because everyone's got a past and it always affects us, no matter how much we think it does or not.
Yeah, your backstory affects how you act and react, the decisions that you make. What hi Binks.
We have
Um,
a guest today.
how oh wow, Binks just killed all my thoughts.
Like a little vampire. He sucked all your thoughts away.
Yeah. But yeah, I mean, your backstory, a character's backstory, how they're raised, what their experiences are, depending on how old they are, is going to influence how they react to different situations. If they have strange fears, different prejudices. One example I can think of is slowly being revealed to me because this is my first run through of Baldur's Gate 3, is for whatever reason, Shadowheart is afraid of wolves.
Mm-hmm.
Slowly getting little bits and pieces of this as we go through the backstory. I'm curious how ultimately it will end up if I get a full reveal on it or not. Don't spoil it. I don't know.
I'm not saying nothing. What?
um, so having that backstory is going to show up in your character in the small moments and the big moments. So
So sorry. He's so distracting right
no,
now.
he is very distracting. I'm not going to argue with that one.
Yes, he's being distracting. Yes. Um, so, for example, one of my characters, I kind of knew from the get go that he was going to be bisexual. But it turned out that his bisexuality has been repressed, and I couldn't figure out why until eventually he revealed it. Because sometimes your characters will tell you their backstory and you had no idea. And it had to do with his dad basically being a homophobe. And just a horrible human being altogether. So, with that, you are then deciding how to plan their backstory. And sometimes it is planned. Sometimes you have an entire situation set out for them. But then again, other times it kind of just unfolds as you go and you learn little bits and pieces as you write your characters, which is interesting because you're like, wow, I never would have thought that. Like, my character, Leo, was 100% straight when I started writing it. No, he revealed he was not. So, yeah, it's interesting. But like you said, it does excuse me, their backstories the way that they grow up is going to determine how they act and react to certain things. So someone who may have grown up in a regular household with healthy parents may hear someone yell and they're like, oh, what's going on over there? Where someone who had a more traumatic backstory and grew up in a household where abuse was normal, that may trigger them. And certain situations like that will come up and your characters will react differently depending on the backstory you give them, which is always fun.
And I, to your point, yeah, there was two things that I put down in the outline that yes, sometimes backstories are pre-planned, sometimes they are revealed as you write. And actually a third option, which has actually just happened to me recently, is you're like, I need this character to have this reaction. So what can I make happen in their past to make that make sense? So sometimes you're reaching, and this poor man.
So bad.
Yeah,
So bad.
yeah, I feel so bad for Jeff. Um, does not like cars at all.
I was gonna say he
Um,
can't have cars.
he
Not
can't have
allowed.
cars. It's a good thing he's no longer in a world with cars. Um,
Yeah.
so yeah, I had to have a reason for him to be having this reaction in the story. I was like, okay, what's a solid reason for something to have happened in his past so that he has this particular reaction? So sometimes you're reaching out and creating backstory that way.
Yeah.
And I say that's a little different from them revealing it because I think revealing it is more they reacted in a way you didn't expect, and then that is what tells you about the backstory versus you looking for them to have a reason for a reaction. So
Yeah.
it's a little different.
Yeah. No, that makes sense because sometimes in order to make the story go a certain way, you need them to react a certain way. So if there is no solid reason for them to freak out or break down, you're like, well, I kind of got to figure out something because that wouldn't make sense regularly. So, no, I mean, that would be another third option. I'm just so distracted by him sitting here. I'm just kidding. Doesn't help that my brain's
Well,
already struggling as it is. It's
and
just,
I had to do that in that way because this particular character has to have this reaction towards children. And it's not a bad reaction, guys, I promise. But
no.
it's he is such a normally logical, cool-headed person that goes for the most efficient route. For him to refuse to hurt a child, even if it is course of action, I had to have a logical reason for it. So that's why I had to go back into reaching for, okay, why is he so set against this? Which you
Besides just moral
shouldn't.
reasons.
Yes, besides just moral reasons, what other reasoning is there for him to have this
Yeah.
kind of reaction, especially because they're in a world with a different moral compass and a different moral set of standards too. So they're not
Yeah.
in this world.
That makes sense.
So that sounded horrible.
It kind of did. I won't lie. You're making Jeff sound real awful right now. Even though he's refusing not to do something. But yeah. No, I get what you're saying. Um so something I feel like we touched on but didn't really talk about that much was how backstories influence biases and prejudices. Did you say much about that?
No, I think we kind of jumped into the deciding on the backstories.
Okay.
So
Um
Inks just got us all
d-
akimbo.
the cat got us all jumbled. So sorry. Um so backstories can influence biases, prejudices, fears and dislikes, likes as well. You know, if we're going um so like I said, my character Jensen, one of his fears was basically showing who he truly was, because his father kind of beat it into him that that side of him was useless, wrong, dirty, like all those negative connotations you typically hear when someone is homophobic. And it doesn't help that it was his child and this was happening in his adolescent years. Um, those fears don't ever really go away. Those, what's the word I'm looking for? I can't think of it.
Connotations?
Kind of, but not really. Those type of things are kind of always planted in the back of your mind, even if you do try to get over it and you do work to get over it. They're always there. Especially, you know, when it is someone like your parent that is doing these things to you. Those are your formative years, the person that's supposed to tell you the world. So, you know, having that kind of sucks when it leads you down that rough path. And again, we've seen it in some books. I wouldn't use it, but when people kind of romanticize the racism aspects, oh, well, this is how I was taught. There are ways that people have written about racism that are fantastic, but those are prejudices and biases that people grow up with that have to learn to either they go with it or they learn to get over those things. And that those in your backstory can really shape the viewpoint of your character and how they see the world.
Kind of touching on this in a strange way is I'm thinking of the novel The Last Unicorn by Peter S. Beagle. And if you don't know the novel, it's basically the last unicorn of the world has found herself isolated and the last of her kind, goes on a journey to find the rest of her kind, ends up getting turned into a human by a wizard in order to save her from been persecuting her kind. Um, and in the end, when she has to confront this pursuer, the Red Bull, they the backstory of her turning into a human gives her a different perspective on life. I have a point with this. I promise. I'm
No,
getting somewhere with it.
I'm following. I'm following.
It's a backstory built within the book, but I mean sometimes that's the best kind, so you can actually see the events that are unfolding this. But you know, previously it's also her viewpoint on humans. As a unicorn, she's an immortal, ethereal, magical being. Why would she bother with humans?
Mm-hmm.
Who are just tiny little ants, according to her. But upon she was turned into a human, she starts to connect with human emotions. She falls in love with a human. And so then what prompts her to turn against the Red Bull is the human she fell in love with was injured.
Mm-hmm.
And that's what prompts her to be like, no, I'm not going to allow this to happen. So that backstory influenced her prejudices, her viewpoints towards another quote unquote race, humans,
Yeah.
um, and changed it. So that's more about changing in the backstory, but it's influencing how she sees the world. So that is a really good example you can look at of while this isn't a backstory per se, because it is actually happening during the novel, you could see how these events are changing a character's point of view, their prejudices, their biases, that kind of thing. Their fears. Her fears changed
Yeah.
from that.
I think another good example would be when we see characters that are like really rich or really poor and how they treat money. Because that, in a backstory, it is so widely different. You know, when you're someone that was raised with wealth and affluence, like money doesn't really mean things to you. And it's, oh, well, I could just fly off to, you know, I don't know, Bali for the weekend and go hang out with my friends, where that money could be like something so different to someone with a different backstory who lives in poverty. And that's just another example of like the backstory and like the the biases that people have on certain things. Like, money becomes like evil when you're poor. Like, you need it, but like, it sucks when you're not in a position of wealth, you know? Just a random thought.
And actually, I think a really good example of that is a manga and anime called Ouran High School Host Club, because the main character of the manga is a poorer student, more,
Mm-hmm.
standard middle class, who won a full scholarship to this really elite school of the rich, like old money families, and ends up getting drawn into this club where they make really good friends with the basically heirs to all of these old huge companies and families in Japan.
Yeah.
And so their viewpoint on how these boys are spending money, they're like, "What?"
Yeah.
And then you also have the funny points where they send the main character out to get coffee, and the person who is firmly middle class comes back with like instant coffee, and all the rich kids are like, "Oh my god, that's a thing! I need to
Ew.
taste it."
Oh, I thought they were going to be like, ew, get us the good stuff.
Some of them are, but then some of them are like romanticizing this whole situation because that's their nature. But it's, yeah. So just the back, you see both sides of that. Both the, ew, that's disgusting, and, I've never tried that before. This must be what a poor person feels like, kind of attitude.
Oh, this is what it feels like to be poor. Wonderful. It's like,
Exactly.
what? Well, I mean, I don't know which one's more offensive. The one that's like, ooh, we get to cosplay being poor, or the one that's like, ew, poor people coffee.
They both are really
Oh my gosh,
in
that's
their own
hilarious
way.
though. That's hilarious.
Yeah, I need to get you to read that manga. I think you would get a good giggle out of it.
I probably would. If that is just one scene. Yeah, that'd be hilarious. I think overall, the whole point of backstories is also making them diverse. You don't want to have the same backstory for every character because then your characters are going to be flat and boring, you know? So, really switching it up, adding some diversity in there, making them all different wealth levels, all different, having parents, no parents, living with grandma, or, everyone has a different backstory. And it's okay to actually, again, I'm going to say it again, it's okay to have a normal, healthy upbringing for a background for your character. It's okay. Not everyone needs to have trauma. Granted, pretty much everyone does eventually. But some
That's life.
cases are worse than others. Um, so yeah, you can give your characters semi-normal upbringings and backstories.
Break them later.
Break them later. Indeed. So, that would bring us to our witchy tip, unless you had something else you wanted to add.
No, I think the second half of the episode is where the juicy bits are.
Yeah, I would agree. Um, so, our witchy tip is suggestions on shadow work. I know we've touched on this in the past, very briefly, but my husband is now doing shadow work. So, with that, he's been asking me questions, and it's kind of brought up stuff. Um, when you're doing shadow work, everyone always asks, well, how do I do shadow work? Number one thing, and the easiest way to start, is if you get triggered by something. If out of nowhere, you are having a good day, something happens, and it just flips your day upside down, or your reaction may come off as over the top or whatever to you or anybody else, and you're just like, why did I react that way? That is the big question of shadow work, is why? Why am I acting like this? What is causing this? So A tip would be find what triggers you and try and figure out where that trigger stems from. Kind of rewind the clock back, trace your steps back on what could cause this. And that will typically lead you to an answer. Sometimes you may have to sit with it for a little while and really dig about why certain things bother you. Other things you may know instantly. You're like, oh, I remember this one time this happened to me and someone said something and it stuck with me to this day and it still bothers me. And at that point, you kind of just have to sit with it and figure out how to overcome that. Some people use therapy. That's great. It's always an option. Or, you know, my age-old story of sitting on the back patio crying, listening to music, and drinking wine. And just let it out. You know, sometimes those repressed emotions bubble to the surface and you just gotta let it out. Sometimes you need to scream. Sometimes you need to cry. Some people journal. It's a whole host of ways to go about it. But number one thing is probably find what triggers you and really dig deep on why. That's the big question. Why?
And it's going to be different for everyone. You know, well, what triggers someone is, even if the same thing triggers people, there's going to be different reasons. There's going to be different reactions. There's going to be different ways how they handle things. There's going to be different ways for them to resolve it. So while going into shadow work journals and reading shadow work books is a good guide on getting started, you have to remember kind of the age-old thing with witchcraft is take what resonates with you and leave the rest behind. So use what works for you emotionally and mentally. What there is no one size fits all solution. Trust me, I've been bugging Nicole for a year now trying to figure some stuff out. And she's like, you gotta figure out on your own. I was like, I don't wanna.
I can't give you the answers. As much as I wish it was that easy, I cannot.
I promise I'm not that bad, guys. I asked nicely.
Please give me the answers.
Exactly. That's the way it goes. Yeah. So yeah, and the shadow work journaling does help. I have been using one called Into the Wild by Dominica Applegate. It's definitely given me some different perspective on things. But again, you know, just take what resonates and leave what doesn't. Just because they say something in a shadow work journal doesn't mean that is what's going to work for you. A good shadow work journal should prompt you to think about yourself, not tell you how to think.
Yeah. I think also it would give you tools on how to dig into your emotions, if that makes sense. Because not everything is like explosive anger or crazy. Sometimes it could be as simple as you shutting down. That happens to a lot of people where they're confronted with something and they don't want to deal with it. They shut down. They're just like, I don't want to deal with this. And they just walk away. So I feel like that's you. You're like,
I do shut down. You're not wrong. It has been a journey to learn that I am allowed to express anger and finding ways to express it in a way that I don't feel guilty for expressing it.
And that's a good thing. So, being able to learn ways to express emotions that have otherwise been repressed or hidden or whatever, finding ways to allow yourself to feel those without being dangerous, because that can happen too. We don't want to put ourselves in dangerous situations. But finding healthy outlets is going to be something huge during your shadow work journey. Whether that is journaling, maybe you like to just talk out loud, recording yourself talking to yourself. I know that sounds like you might be a little cuckoo. You're not. It's okay to talk to yourself. I don't care what anyone says. You can talk to yourself, you know?
Yeah.
So, and maybe going back and listening to that, you'll hear something that you hadn't expected to say, and it kind of clicks. You're like, oh, shit. I didn't realize that that's what that was. I've seen people do like, what is it called? Junk journaling with their experiences or how they're feeling with images. It could be a whole host of things. Damn, crochet yourself a freaking shadow work journal blanket. Every time you feel a certain emotion, pick a color and just freaking add a row. Like those temperature blankets.
So this is the color for anger.
These are all the days I've been depresso. Sad, mad, happy. If it helps, it helps. You know, keeping your hands busy and your minds occupied, that's all part of the process. So go forth and do your shadow work. I'm trying really hard to make sure I don't cough in your guys' ear.
You are doing a good job so far. I
Okay.
agree. You're doing a good job. There's your
Good.
validation for the day.
Thank you. Pat myself on the back for doing a good job. No, I'm just kidding. Was there anything else you wanted to say about shadow work? Because I think we covered it.
Yeah, no, I think yeah, and like you said, you could have any range of reactions, and what trigger has kind of become a catchword in today's culture, and it can give a negative connotation in that it's a bad thing that it's
Yeah.
happening, or it's an explosive because trigger of a firearm,
Yeah.
that's an explosive bad thing. And it I don't think that's always the case because like you said, when I am quote unquote triggered, I shut down. That's not explosive.
Yeah.
That's not always the bad thing because it does keep me from making choices that I may regret later and it makes me sit and think about stuff.
Yeah.
Um Not saying it's the healthiest thing in the world to do, but that's just how I've found the way to cope to where I don't regret my actions later.
Yeah.
But realize that you being triggered is not, it's giving you insight into yourself
Mm-hmm.
being with a situation. And again, it may not be the best reaction at the time or for you overall, but also learning why you're reacting that way, why are you shutting down versus going and punching a punching bag,
Yeah.
you know? So figuring that out, I think, is another piece of the puzzle, as it were.
Yeah. A trigger is not, and like you said, it does have like, that word has been used a lot, like you said, and it has a negative connotation. Think of it more like a signal light. It kind of lets you know, like, hey, something's going on here that was causing us to react a certain way. If you don't want to think of it as that phrase, potentially, it's a signal to you, like, hey, something's not right here. We should probably investigate. So,
Yeah.
there you go. If you don't like the word trigger, there you go. Signal light.
Or even if you don't think it bothers you, you may
Yeah.
realize that that negative connotation is an unconscious bias in your brain, so you're avoiding it.
Yeah. I
So
mean, we've heard it so, oh, are you triggered? Like, people use it as a
yeah.
dirty, like, to make you feel bad for feeling a certain emotion, which you may be triggered, but they're trying to use it to make you feel less than because of the way you're responding to something. And that shouldn't be the case. They're just
Yeah.
insensitive pricks. So, I'll say
Who were
it.
probably who were they were probably the ones that got triggered by whatever they said.
Probably. And then they had to go and say something mean to make you upset, to feel upset with them. Don't fall for it. Don't fall for it. um yeah, I think that's pretty much it, yeah.
Yeah, covers it.
All right, on to trauma, which is where all the shadow work is needed because of it. uh so When you decide to give your characters trauma in their backstory, be a little considerate to your character because, they are going to have to deal with that. Um, yeah. I feel like you're better at giving this than me because although yes, my some of my characters have some backstories that are a little tragic, most of the time it happened when they were adults. And I feel like your poor characters are just traumatic from the out the womb.
Hey, Brenda had a mostly normal life until she was an adult.
That's true. Just
Davina mostly had a normal life, just
that's true.
not all of
Father
them.
was kind of
Most
a
of them.
yeah.
He was
Um,
an absent.
I was gonna say he had gone to get the milk, but the milk snatched him up. He didn't choose to leave. He was kidnapped, taken style.
Yeah.
um, but yes. So if you're gonna give your characters trauma in their backstory, just be a little considerate. Also, key thing: do your research. If you're going to give them trauma, please do your due diligence, do the research, make sure you're portraying it as respectfully as you can, especially if this is something that you are not dealing with yourself. Because we don't want to upset anybody that actually does deal with the traumas that you're giving your characters. Because these can be major influences to your character's life, whether they're reacting to certain things. Like we said, people get triggered because of the trauma that they've faced. So, yeah. Big influence.
And make sure there's some logic to it. Like, all right, I'll bring Jeff up again. Yes, he's had
Poor Jeff.
a couple a couple of traumatic points in his life, but in the world that he grew up in, both of these are literally everyday occurrences.
Yeah.
And they it sucks that they both happened to him. Like that was not a good dice roll in his favor, but it could conceivably happen to somebody,
Yeah.
especially given the situation that he grew up in. Um, so keep on the trauma if you want, but make sure it's logical. Like
Yeah.
don't don't have them their dad left, then they got kidnapped and had trauma happen, and then their mother died, and then their
I mean,
sister turned evil.
granted, not saying that could not happen, but like, damn, that's depressing to read about when a character has just been kicked repeatedly while they're down. That's a lot.
Honestly, the that is one of the biggest issues I had with the book When the Moon Hatched. Is she just kept getting kicked again and again and again, and nothing ever went right for her. No matter what she did, no matter how well she shielded herself, no matter how many precautions she took,
Mm-hmm.
nothing ever went right. And I'm like, I'm just depressed.
That's that's honestly how I felt about Zodiac Academy. Like, anytime you think they're going to have something good, it got twisted on its head and it was something bad. Something bad happened because of it. And you're just like, oh my God. Can we get one good thing to happen, please? Because if everything is just going to be bad, I don't want to keep reading. It's depressing. And like maybe some people love that and love reading that because clearly both of those books are very popular. So people do love it, but I don't know. Maybe it's just me. I don't like to be wallowing with the characters down in their pits of despair all the time. Like, please give me something good. Um, so yeah, you definitely can give them all of that and continue to kick them while they're down, but I can't say that's the best way to go about giving your characters a backstory.
You're definitely gonna lose part of your audience, especially people that have been dealing with a lot of mental health issues in their life.
Yeah, that's for sure. Um, so an interesting one would be that they have experienced trauma, but don't react to the way don't react to the trauma that you would expect them to. Because for whatever reason, it's locked away. Because this does happen to people. They realize that something bad has happened in their past, but they clearly don't remember it because their brain has literally blocked out that part of their life because of how traumatic it was. So you could go that route and it deal with it that way, but typically people do end up getting bits and pieces of that trauma eventually revealed to them. Sometimes, I mean, I would say sometimes people never want to know, so they don't go looking and they just completely avoid it altogether. But some people are curious and they're like, why the fuck do I not remember like 4 years of my childhood when I definitely should be remembering that? So there are ways that it could reveal itself while you're writing it, or something unlocks a memory. Maybe it's a certain smell, or they saw a certain shirt someone was wearing. It could be literally anything that can unlock these traumatic memories that they have had kept away.
And if you are going to be writing that in your book, make sure that that is being revealed at an appropriate time. Keep in mind, you are an author, you are telling a story. If you have been building up to this moment, make sure it's revealed appropriately and, as you said earlier, respectfully for that kind of traumatic incident, and that they are having a logical reaction to it. And logical, I know I used it a lot, but it can mean different things for different people. And again, this is where knowing the backstory or having pieces of the backstory besides just this one traumatic incident, um, to help influence how they're going to react to that.
Yeah.
So you've been building up, building up. This will probably be the climax of your story. So treat it as such. Use the. This is where you can really shine or
Words are
sink
hard.
as an author. Words are hard.
Words are
Um,
hard.
you could either really make your audience impressed and gratified, and they were able to empathize and connect with this character, or it can totally fall flat.
Yeah.
Um, and that's where you have to use your judgment as an author on how it's being um, portrayed. And disclaimer, real quick again, we are coming at this as authors. We are not
Yes.
psychologists. We are not psychiatrists. We are talking about your character's backstory. We have done a lot of
Yes.
research, not going to argue, but we are
We are
not
not.
trained medical professionals.
We are not. Don't take our advice if you are struggling with mental illnesses. See a professional about that. This is just purely writing fictional characters.
Yes.
Fictional characters. Yes. Not qualified to give medical advice for legal purposes.
Yeah.
Don't come at us, please.
So,
Yeah.
yeah, the suddenly revealed moment in a character's life that has been locked away up until now should be handled in a good way, not a good way, should be handled in a respectful way as an author.
Yeah. I'd also say even if it is not like some crazy big reveal, I think the way you handle telling your character's trauma is also important. You don't want to just be like, yeah, I was beaten as a kid. Woo. All right, so let's go get turkey sandwiches. You know what I mean? Like, that's not something you just drop in a casual conversation. And the thing is I've known people who have dropped trauma like that, where you're just like, oh yeah, so what do you want to do this weekend? Well, I was thinking about going here, but I really don't like that place because I once got beat up at one of those places and jumped by 4 people. And you're like, what the fuck? What? Now I need this backstory, because what do you mean? Like, how do you just drop that trauma on someone just like you're talking about pizza toppings? Like, what?
That's called trauma dumping, people, just so you know.
Yeah. But the way they do it, you're just like, hold on, rewind, skirt, what did you just say? Like, they talk about it so casually. And I would say, yes, although that does happen on a daily basis, try to handle the trauma a little more sensitively than that, because there are going to be readers who probably could have had similar situations and may not take that well if they did not do that. So just keep that in mind. And I'm not saying you have to appease every person that reads your book. That's impossible to do. But handle certain topics with care, you know, because they're kind of like bombs going off. So you can be gentle. So, yeah.
And even if it's so say you're in a first person point of view example, and it is your first person point of view character that is doing the trauma dumping, having other people's reaction be your way of handling it. And it could be maybe what your character is thinking is internally is like, oh, I dealt with this a long time ago, so it's just a casual thing for me now. And that's what they explain to the characters around them. So having the characters that are around your character that is currently trauma dumping reacting appropriately is one way to handle it, because maybe that is something your character does. It's something that is so normalized in their life that they're like, hey, we're just going to drop this into casual conversation. Having other characters react to it, be like, wait, what? Kind of reaction is one way of handling it, so that you are still being respectful to whatever event happened or transpired in that character's history that they are currently dropping the bomb on.
Yeah, you do make a good point, because people that have experienced trauma tend to become desensitized to it to some extent. So, yeah, I didn't think about that. But that would be a good way where the characters are like, wait a fucking minute, what did you just say? Because I've definitely had those moments with people and I'm just like, are you okay? Do you need a hug? Because holy shit.
Well, you kind of do that, and it's either Unbound or Unleashed, when Amy is sitting there talking to Leo, and Leo just like spills out his life story for her, and she's just like, wait, what? But Leo is cool with it, because he's like, he's been through all of this therapy. He's been dealing with this all of his whole life. So he's just like, yeah, that's what happened. And she's like, wait, what?
Yeah.
Wait.
He's like, yeah, my dad was, what was it? He was like, my mom left to get the milk, never came back, left me. My dad's an alcoholic. But, I can't change it. Life goes on. So what are you reading? Like, legitimately. And she's just like, oh my God, are you good? But he's like, I've gone to therapy for this. There's nothing I can do to change it. It is what it is. I've moved on. Like, I'm not upset about it anymore. So to him, it wasn't a big deal, because like you said, he has lived with that, and he's just like, nothing I can do about it to fix it. So why wallow in it? So, but yeah. He's like, you poor thing. Jesus. So yeah, I didn't even realize that I did do that.
You wrote it a while ago, to be fair.
It has been a hot minute. I think that came out in 2023? So it's been 3 years, 4 years since I've written it. Golly, holy moly. It's been a while. So,
yeah.
We kind of already talked about handling trauma appropriately, which is how people react to it and stuff like that. Yeah, we kind of all covered that already.
Yeah, we kind of did unintentionally.
Literally, we just kind of steamrolled right into it. Um, when talking about trauma, you want to be careful about how you phrase things. Um, Especially if you're dealing with certain situations. So, like, say someone that may have, I don't know, the one that's popping in my head is like, say someone has schizophrenia, right? Maybe you're writing about a character that was diagnosed with this. Saying they're crazy would probably not be the best form to go about talking about their mental illness. That is 100% 100% insensitive. That's just,
Yes.
don't do it. It's not. I think I'm saying that right, but my brain is like really struggling if that was the right wording or not. So try not to use things like that, especially if you are doing mental illnesses. Don't use the things like crazy, you're nuts, or belittling someone's lived experience. Probably not the best idea if you're going to write about it. So just be careful with your word choices and how your character either A, thinks about themselves or talks about themselves, but also the way other characters are going to treat that person. I mean, unless you're literally writing about how this character is struggling with it and how they're always treated negatively, which a slippery slope depending on how you write it. Just be careful with the word choices.
Choose wisely.
Yes.
Be like Indiana Jones. Choose wisely.
Yes. Also, try not to use slurs. So my main thing went to like people in the LGBTQIA community. Don't use homophobic slurs. Don't, stuff like that. It's just in bad taste. Unless you're really trying to have a character come off as being a total scumbag who would feel that as being appropriate, and maybe your character's reacting to that negatively. Like, example, in Unleashed, Jensen comes face... Is it Unleashed? Or is it Unveiled? I don't know. One of them, he comes face to face with his father, who is a homophobe, and does use a slur against him, and everyone in the room is like, skirt, hold on, you're not going to talk to him like that. You're trash. And it is treated appropriately, and he also gets sent to hell. So, he gets to go be tortured by demons.
Roland has fun with that.
Oh, yes, he does. So, in that aspect, the slur was used in a way to show a character in a very negative light. But, again, slippery slope, you have to be careful how you use them. Probably not a good idea to use them, though.
Pick and choose. Pick and choose your moments.
Yes. That is... You gotta know if the risk is worth the reward in that aspect, on if you use one or not.
Yeah. So you kind of covered everything I would have had to say on that. Yeah. Anything I say would just be repeat of what you were saying.
It's almost like I just read your mind, which is kind of hard to do because my brain is really struggling. It's really, really struggling.
Neither of us have the brain cell today.
No, I don't think so. I had it earlier. I did have the brain cell earlier, and I was able to write over 2,000 words today. Woohoo! But it no longer. It has gone somewhere else.
It left.
It's on vacation.
It left.
They're like, they used me too much today. I'm on vacation. I need to leave.
Just went peace. It's gone.
Yeah. Yeah. I think that's pretty much it. Is there anything else you could think of?
No, I think we have done enough trauma dumping in one episode.
Oh, I have lots of trauma. We can trauma dump. Let me start from the beginning.
Podcast.
No, let me start from the very beginning. I'm just like opening up a storybook.
The pop-up storybook.
Yeah. Storybook of my trauma. Here we go. Page 1. um so that would be the end of it and bring us to book reviews, which I am so close to finishing the book that I'm reading. So close.
You're this far. You're this far.
I'm literally it's less than 100 pages at this point. I'm so close. But I got sick, and reading and trying to comprehend anything when you're sick is very hard.
Yeah, it is.
So,
Is that yawn?
unfortunately, I do not have a book review. But I know you do.
Maybe?
Maybe. I'm sure you have like a little stack waiting. Yeah.
Okay. I apologize in advance if I say this name wrong. I am probably going to be saying it the English way because I am not a French speaker. But I read Agnes Aubert's, it could be Aubert's, I don't know, Mystical Cat Shelter by Heather Fawcett. Um, it is just a little adorable. I won't say cozy romance because there are world-ending stakes that happen. Um, but it's as close to cozy as you can get
Without the
when
cozy
there's still
title.
world-ending stakes.
That's fair.
Basically, the main character, Agnes, runs a cat shelter in Montreal, and a almost steampunky magical society that is also our current today's society. It's just wizards are a thing.
Sick.
Yeah, well, sort of.
Not so sick.
Not necessarily a good thing. And she has to find a new home for her cat shelter because two wizards held a duel in front of her former cat shelter and blew up the street. Literally blew up
Oh my
the street.
gosh.
Yeah. So she ends up finding a place to rent that the only place that will take her that she can afford. Ends up the landlord is the premier dark wizard of the world.
Her fucking luck. Jeez Louise.
But she has to take it because it's the only place that she can afford. And he doesn't really bother her. He just kind of hangs out in his basement. She has the occasional weird wizard walk through the cat shelter. Um,
I gotta read this now. I didn't realize this is what it was about.
it is a romance between her and the wizard.
Oh.
Because Agnes is organized AF. And that is literally how this problem in this book gets solved. Because someone is looking for something, and the Dark Wizard, Havelock, is a fucking hoarder.
A
Magical
wizard
items.
hoarder? Oh my god.
Magical items.
This is hilarious.
She has to help him find it.
So she's literally just cleaning this man's fucking wizard basement. Oh my gosh. That's hilarious.
It turns into a whole thing, but the cats are a prominent main character in this book, and it is hilarious because they all have names, and she is trying to get them adopted out. And here's the kicker, right? Here's the kicker. Havelock is allergic to cats.
He falls in love with the lady with the cat shelter and is allergic to cats. Oh my god. That man's gonna be living off of Zyrtec for the rest of his life.
It is adorable. It's a little bit of a slow build up. It takes a little bit to get into the meat of the story. But it's worth it in the end. I will say up front, there is no spice. There's a couple of sweet kisses. There's no doubt that they end up together at the end as a romantic couple, but no spice. No spice.
That's alright.
but it is really cute. I will probably be rereading it at some point just because of how flipping I forgot how cute it was until I'm sitting here telling you about it. I read it a while ago.
That's funny. Because I know you really liked it when you did read it, and you were just like, this is so cute and it's so good. But you never really talked about what it was about. And I didn't really
Yeah.
know. So now I want to read it.
Yeah, again, it takes a little bit to get into it. I am that person that I'm tenacious enough. Once I decide to read something, it takes a lot to make me not finish it. I will usually not make that decision until I'm halfway through the book. But yeah, once I got to the halfway point in this book, it had gotten me hooked enough that this is one of the ones that I stayed up late reading. So
Oh, there you go.
at the climax. Yeah.
Nice.
So yeah, that's Agnes. I'm gonna say it the English way. Albert's Mystical Cat Shelter by Heather Fawcett.
Well, now I need to read it. Because that sounds amazing.
It's so cute.
It
It's
sounds
so
funny.
the reason for the first time she kisses him is I'm not going to spoil it on the podcast, but it is so funny.
We do love a woman with a sense of humor. We do love that.
So
Well,
yeah, that's it.
perfect. So that brings us to the end of this episode. Next episode, we will be talking about writing body language, which is always fun.
That should be interesting.
Yeah. So you can find us at writingwithwitches.com. You can email us at writingwithwitches@gmail.com. We are on Facebook, Instagram, YouTube, Blue Sky, and TikTok as Writing with Witches. And we also have a Discord server as Writing with Witches as well. You can find me at all the aforementioned places as author Nicole Autumn, except Instagram, which is Nicole Autumn Author, because for whatever reason they didn't want me to have it in the beginning. So I also have a Discord server, and my website is authornicoleautumn.com, where you can go and see everything that's going on with me. So yeah, Leona.
You are going to mainly find me on Facebook and Instagram as Leona Urbanski Author. You can find me at my website, leonaurbanskiauthor.com. You can also sign up for my Substack at leonaurbanskiauthor.substack.com. You can find both of us at mythweaverbooks.com. You can also find Mythweavers on Facebook, TikTok, Instagram, and YouTube. And you can also go to our website and buy all of our books and all of our merch. Get the merch, get the merch. We're always making more merch. We're just released some awesome fucking notebooks from the order too.
Yes. And I still have to add Leo's shirt.
Yes.
I'm thinking I want it on like a tank top for him, like a racerback.
Perfect. I was just thinking that.
I want it on a racerback tank top, so you could just have this hot man on your shirt, just chilling.
Hell yes. I'm gonna wear that to my self-defense class just to mess with these guys.
I'm not gonna lie, a part of me wants to have his, because the way he's sitting is he's leaning back on his hands. I really, really want to try and align to where one of his hands is resting on your tit. So he's just like casually leaning on your boobie. That's what I really want. I have to see if I can make that work.
That is your goal in life.
That is my goal. So you just have a hot man fondling your boob all day long.
Hey, I'm not going to argue with that.
Right? Yeah. So thank you all for listening and or watching. We hope you have a wonderful week, and we'll see you next time. Bye.
Bye-bye.